to be able to set some guardrails so that he knows when he's bumping up against them, and for her to be able to, specifically set up boundaries that are going to be healthy for her, but actually help her grow also.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And what comes to mind when I initially hear you say that is something that I'm trying to implement in myself when it comes to giving advice to others.
Okay. I
Don't,
do have to say, just real quick, hold your thought.
yeah.
I, in my life, now 58, just learned what boundaries and guardrails were like 4 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So
No,
yeah, I'm not, Brene Brown. I did not learn this crap young.
Yeah, me neither. We're learning together,
Yes.
actually. So I'm trying not to give my opinion, which is very hard for me unless I am truly asked for it. Okay?
Okay.
So it's hard because you want to help that person, whether it's a friend or family or, sister, brother, whatever. You want to help them navigate life, and you want them to do it better than you did. And you're like kind of saying, okay, here's a pothole, here's a branch, in your way. Make sure to duck, or whatever. But having said that, I know that a lot of times they have to feel it or figure it out for themselves, and they have to experience that pothole or that branch hitting them in the head, because they aren't going to really believe it until that happens. And all the great advice in the world, they're still going to bump up against it because they just want to experience it for whatever reason. And it's hard to watch, but I think, maybe, and I'll stop talking and let you talk.
Don't stop talking, keep going.
I think that in the scenario with that needs to wait till she comes to him for his opinion and not try to drive what she's doing. I think that will help.
Yeah,
that's my first
like
thought.
Asking a river not to run.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's hard. It's hard to watch.
It's hard to watch.
To say, hey, look out for that pothole over there,
Yeah.
And it's hard not to do that. But I really think he needs to be another thoughtful adult in her life, but not necessarily her parent. That's not his role. So
yeah. What I've asked him to do, what I've tried to ask him to do, is to think about the end result that you're trying to get to. What's your goal? Because if your goal is for her to hear you, your approach may have to be different than what you think it should be.
Yes.
If you come in loud and harsh, she's going to tune you out. And you may be telling her something totally valuable.
That's right.
If you learn how to communicate with her where she stays open, and you really have a value piece of information, and I'm not talking about here's how you load the dishwasher, but a value piece of information, show up in a way that she can accept it, and and then give it to her straight. I'm not saying water it down or try and figure out a way to make it nice, but you have to be able to communicate with people in a way where they can absorb what you're saying, where they can grab onto it and really make use of it in some real way.
Yes. That's with anything. That's like with work or family or friends or anybody. You're gonna they're gonna pay more attention if you're doing it in a calm, firm way instead of just being crazy, and saying, well, you can't do it that way, and here's why, it's just never gonna come across well.
Yes, it's in association to television shows. I'm like, you can't be Marie and everybody loves Raymond, because you're not. People
Oh,
are not going to just fold up and be like, well, okay,
yeah,
you're the smart older person and I'm just going to take your advice. They're going to shut you out and shut you down. And that's not the goal that you have in mind. So come at it from a point of, what's my goal and how can I get that across in a way that she's going to be able to receive it. And then I'm like, you need to set some boundaries and guardrails in your relationship for yourself as well as for your brother. So, you need to be able to say, I like seaweed chips and I buy seaweed chips and I would appreciate it, since I'm broke and I'm only making $10 an hour and I'm working my ass off, if you wouldn't just eat my seaweed chips randomly.
yeah,
There's just, can we agree that you're not going to just go in the pantry and just eat all the damn seaweed chips, just like you're not going to go in the pantry and eat all your 3-year-old nephew's snacks.
yeah,
Have it set up so that you don't have to feel like you've got to put a lock latch or store food in your room to keep him out of it, because he enjoys it on occasion where you enjoy it daily. It's a
yeah,
different thing. But I'm trying to explain. I'm not trying to tell her how to set, what to set, but how to set.
yeah.
And I think that's a challenge that I know I've had as a woman.
Yes. Well, and it's a challenge in the household because she's under their household. So now you're asking them to do something that you want under their household. So it
Yes.
makes it a hard conversation. But it's a good conversation because she's going to need these skills in work and where you're headed with this.
Yeah,
Like,
in life. Yeah, just
in life.
Yeah.
You're going to have those difficult conversations, and you got to be able to speak your truth. And that's the hard part, bringing it back to authenticity is about boundaries, and authenticity is really forefront in my face right now. like it's, where's the line when you, and I'm not sure there should be one anymore. I used to think there should be one, and now I'm not so sure. Where's the line of, when do I say how I feel and what I feel and what I know is the truth? And when do I not, to make everybody else feel okay? And, like, let's use some non, triggering thing. Like somebody asked me, oh, do you like this dress? And I really don't like the dress. I don't think it's the right fit for that person, the right color, whatever. I mean, most people would say, oh yeah, it looks great,
Yeah.
and you would think to yourself, I don't like it. It's not right.
I got a funny for you. A conversation like this last week. She's on TikTok watching TikToks and she goes, Mom, I'm trying my best not to be mean, but I don't think if you're a size 20, you should be wearing a bikini.
No.
And I said, well, here's the deal. I don't know if that's true or not. I said, here's what I think. I think if you feel absolutely fabulous in what you have on, then you should wear it 1,000%. If you feel like you're all that in a bag of chips and you're wearing a croaker sack, go for it. That's what, individual life is about. But if you're hesitant or you're asking, then you don't feel good in it.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
Yes. So
yeah,
if you're
if you have to
asking,
ask, then it doesn't.
that's
feel
exactly
right.
that's exactly it. And that's
Ooh,
what I was
that's
trying
a
to
different angle. Yeah.
I know when I put on certain outfits,
Yeah.
I think I look good and nobody can tell
Right.
me
And
different.
right. And you don't need affirmation. So
No,
maybe the answer is when somebody asks you something like that, you say, well, how do you feel about it? Throw it back on them.
yes, yes. Why are you asking?
Yeah. Are you not feeling
Or-
good about it? Why are you asking? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Because often they will point out the thing that you already know to be true.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, I don't
But
know
then it
because I
doesn't
think
make you feel so awkward in saying, well,
it,
it's not the right cut or it's not the right,
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think it makes my hips look too big. It's like, okay, well, I got to tell you, if that's how you feel in it, then it's not the right thing.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. Because there's nothing I'm going to say that's going to make you think your hips look smaller in that dress.
Mm. But to have that groundedness in yourself when you have that, um I almost consider it magnetism because you are speaking your truth, being your authentic self, you know, showing the world who you are just in your presence. I think that comes across, but staying there is the hard part because of all the programming that we have of being, the nice girl or the nice sister or the nice daughter or the nice niece or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
um we have this programming in our minds that we shoulda coulda woulda done, everything that we're supposed to do, quote unquote, instead of listening to our hearts combined with our mind, our logical mind, to say, okay, this is not what I want to do. Now how do I navigate this? It almost sometimes feels like a chess match to me, where I'm like, I know what I think, but saying that is not probably appropriate right now. So, how do I say it in kindness, but without watering down how I feel? It's complicated.
Yeah.
It can be complicated. So,
Here's something else I want to throw into the mix of your thought. Is it just the programming that we've grown up with, or is it the understanding of the programming of the audience that we're
yes,
talking to also?
fair. That's fair. Yes, because I know I can tell you anything and that you won't take offense.
Mhm.
And in within reason, I don't have to sugarcoat it.
Right.
But I know with other people that I would have to pad, do the kind sandwich that we talk about. Kind and then not so great information and then kind again.
Yes.
So I think, I don't know, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why I feel like I have to play a chess game, because I want to give them that kind sandwich and be like, here's the truth in the middle. Why can't I just go there? People
Well,
will
and
think you're a bitch on fire,
no,
so
I think the going there is about understanding how they're going to perceive what you're going to say.
yeah.
You can see the landing strip
Mm,
while you're in the air. You like, I know where I'm going, but the landing strip is going to be rough if I approach it this way.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to come with another approach if I'm gonna get them to really participate in this conversation. It's one thing if I just want to throw it out there and you gotta lap it up and feel how to swallow, figure out how to swallow it. Figure out how you feel about it later on. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing stuff out at you. But if I want to keep and maintain this relationship in a way that's going to be healthy for me and for you, then I want the landing to be as smooth as possible, as well as being able to maintain my own authenticity and be who I want to be, which
Yes.
I think, can fall into the 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you really can't be who you want to be, is this the right relationship for you?
Yep.
And my mother and I, it's crazy. My mother and I were having a conversation yesterday about family relationships and my relationship with my sister. And she's like, just, it seems like in the last few years, dryer's done. seems like in the last few years that you've gotten closer with your sister than you were when you were younger. And I said, well, we're not really closer. I just no longer care about what she does. When I was younger, I really felt compelled to try and adjust her
World.
her approach to everything. Whatever it was, raising her kids and what job she chose and how she handled everything, relationships, the whole nine yards. I felt like her inability to handle that properly, which was what was proper in my mind, was meant for me to say something. It was meant for me to impart my version of wisdom. And as I've gotten older, I just don't care. I realize I don't care. It really doesn't affect me. And even if it did affect me, I have the capability now to just back far enough away where the effect is minimal, if any.
Yep.
So when I was younger, I felt like I wanted to stand directly under the waterfall. Now I'm happy to be on a boat and just get the mist.
Yes.
I'm cool with that.
Which is good. And yeah, I mean, because you can't take on people's decisions, their chaos, their, consequences for the decisions that they're making. You can't take that on. I mean, you can, and you can try to right that boat, so to speak, if they are under the waterfall, but it's only going to bring you down with them. So
that's the thing that I guess it finally dawned on me. That's the thing. I was making myself miserable trying to fix her.
Yeah.
And she had no desire to be fixed.
There you go. So then why the misery?
Why are you killing yourself?
That's it. Why
So,
are you beating yourself up for nothing?
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember a conversation we had a couple of years ago with a family member who was trying to plan a trip to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria.
Yeah.
And you got all worked up. And
it was terrible.
Yeah. And I was like, why are you so upset about something that has not happened and probably will not happen? And then it didn't even happen. Like the whole thing became it just fell apart on its own.
Yeah.
But that emotion in the moment was like, it was real for you.
It was full on real for me because there were a lot of factors, not to get into all of that, but it wasn't just COVID. It wasn't just Puerto Rico and everything that was going on there at the moment, but it was family history of, her sister. And I was worried about sex trafficking and,
But let's talk about the real emotion behind a non-existent issue.
Oh, yes. Right.
The thing didn't even happen.
Yes.
But you really had
a kibosh on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you really had angst over it though.
Oh yeah. Because I was like, you're crazy if you do this now. And you're putting yourself in harm's way. And then we can't help you if you're over there. Like, it was like that. And like if you get stuck and get COVID there, you can't just soiree back into the United States. So was worried on many different levels. And the school ended up kiboshing it, but you're right, it was all this fear that built up in my mind about all the horrible things that could happen.
Yeah.
That just sent a physical reaction in my body of, this can't happen. How do I stop this from happening?
Right.
Really, in the big scheme of things, it was never in my control. And
right.
It was not my boat to even row. It was her boat. And she wasn't even asking me for my opinions. She was just telling me about the trip. So where, come full circle about what we're talking about in the beginning of this discussion is, I'm trying not to give my opinion unless someone asks me for it. Because, they might not want it. They might not have the same vision as you, and they're not looking for your opinion. They're just sharing. And then, you look like an ass clown because you're stepping in where it's not for you to step in. So
Yes.
they don't want you to step there anyway. So then there's built up resentment, and who the heck does she think she is, telling me what to do and where to go, how to do it. And
Yes.
I don't blame them, really, to be honest. So living and learning, that's what I'm doing. But we do that with so many things, like not just, in that situation, it was just such a clear example of how you build up fear when there is nothing. But it happens in all realms of my life. I'm sure it does yours too.
Yeah.
Like with business, with friends, with people I'm dating, with, just all over the place. Family. In this scenario, that was family. But I build up these things and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What, blah, 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 and why,
Yes.
why this and why that? And what's
What
going
if
on?
mindset?
And like, just relax. And being in that flow of saying, okay, in this very moment, is there anything actually happening that is bothersome, that is actually taking place? No,
Right. No. Yeah.
And that's how to snap yourself out of it.
I agree. I'm watching a documentary this morning with my mom on the Philippine eagle. It's their national bird. And it's this massively large, amazing, beautiful, beautiful bird. And there's a film crew and they're the documentarians, and they're filming up 145 feet up in a tree. And they're trying to film the eaglet. And the female bird, the mother, decides you're a little too close to my baby. And she comes swooping in and hits the guy who's in the tree. Well, it is what it is. They have 7-inch talons. So it cuts open his arm and she hit him in the head. He had a helmet on, but he put his head down, but she hit the helmet and slashed his arm, right? So here's my mom. They should have like a motorcycle helmet on. Why aren't they wearing protective gear? Mind you, we're watching it on YouTube. It's been filmed for years.
Yes.
We're watching the result of what happened. We cannot change a thing.
Right. That's already done and gone. Yeah.
She's having a physical reaction to what she's seeing. And I'm like, why? In my head, I'm like, really? Like this is how in her generation women dealt with the emotionality of every situation. I gotta fix it, I gotta fix it, I gotta fix it. Even if I can't fix it in reality, I can fix it in my own mind.
Yep.
And I think getting out of that is gonna take maybe 100 years.
100 years from where we're at.
Yeah, 100 years from where we are right now, because we just have awareness now.
Yeah, we got to pass it along. That's what we're trying to do anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's got to grow from there to be able to stop that train from going down the tracks, because in our minds, that's what we're used to always saying and doing is, okay, how can we fix it? How can we make it better? How can we make everybody happy? How can we tell them what we think so they don't, it's a hard
experience
balance.
Pain.
Yes.
But we only learn from experiencing pain. You learn how to ride a bike when you fell off enough that you didn't want to fall off anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody ever just got on a bike and rode off and they were like, first time out, woohoo!
Yeah.
That's why I guess training wheels were created. Now you can learn and not fall. But what are the scenarios in life where you learn and don't fall?
Right. Well, and that's what we're trying to do, is throw a freaking, rope around somebody so that we can pull them if they do, but it never works anyway, because you can't know everything. And that's the lesson for most. You gotta let fall. And it's not going to be easy for you. And and it's going to be hard to watch, and it's going to be hard because you know the answer, but you're going, unless she comes to you, you've got to let her fall.
Yes.
You
And
know.
I told him, I said, you know, at this point in her life, she's 19 years old, about to be 19 in a few days. I am concentrated on the catch, not the fall.
Mm,
I want to be able to catch her. So the landing can be reasonably event free.
yeah.
But there's no way I'm going to stop her from testing what her wings can do.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I want to.
No.
You know, I mean, I do in some aspects. I mean, obviously, you don't want your kid to become a criminal or, you know, a drug addict or whatever the case may be. But the reality is, there are so many people that already hit that phase. I don't believe anybody's been able to stop them, you know, cold from going down that lane if that's the lane they choose.
Yeah, for sure.
But
She has such a good head on her shoulders that you know, and you and I, as smart as we thought we were at her age, you know, we had our own stumbles. It's just, it happens,
oh
you
yeah,
know.
oh yeah, a
There's no
thousand
way to,
percent, a thousand percent, a thousand percent. You know,
yeah,
I think the only thing you can have in your head as you go through life is, if you had to tell this story to another person, what would you want the end result to be? How do you want to end the story? Because that, for me, has, you know, imparted some wisdom on the way I choose to act. You know, what's the end? What's the story that I want the other person to be able to tell? What's the story that I want to tell? So it's just not, you know, go through life random, boom. Think about what the end result is going to be.
yeah,
So, and I think in the realm of, should I tell somebody if the, you know, if they ask, does this make my ass look fat? The answer is, you know, either why are you asking me, or how does it make you feel?
yeah. Well, that's it too. Like, you got to start discerning for yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also I think it teaches people how to not let discomfort not be a guidance system. You know, when you're trying something on and you feel uncomfortable, when you're going to some place and you feel uncomfortable, when you're dating somebody and you feel uncomfortable, that's your guidance system saying, yeah, nah,
yeah,
you know, and getting more comfortable with that.
yeah. Is just a slippery slope.
Well, it's just, I think it's nature's set of brilliance saying, you know, somewhere in your psyche is saying, yeah, these jeans don't look good on me. Instead of trying to push it and be like, oh, but they're on sale and they only have 2 of this color and whatever the case may be.
Right.
Let that be the moment that you say, yeah, I don't care what's going on. I'm not getting these.
Yeah. It's for somebody else.
Yeah. Yes. And good luck with them.
Yeah.
They make my life look fat.
We'd be happy to get them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think there is a significant challenge in being able to figure out how to be authentic and know when your authenticity is too much for another party to bear.
And then you know that that's not, that other party shouldn't be in your life.
100%.
That's what I say. Because if you're being too much for that given person, too much in your truth, too much in what you're saying, then they're not for you.
Yeah. And if they're family, if they're close, whatever, just, you know, get on the boat and enjoy the mist.
Yeah.
Don't get under the waterfall.
Yeah. Because you don't have to.
No, you don't.
It's really, you don't have to get under it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't have to live that. As much as we all are like, oh, but the right thing to do if I were a good daughter or a good, whatever, is to do X, Y, and Z. No, not if it's making you compromise yourself. So
100%.
yeah.
100%. That's
Now,
that.
if they line up, that's something different. But if they don't line up, that's when you're compromising yourself and you have that feeling, well, I really just don't think this is the right thing, but I'm doing it anyway. That's when you're going against yourself. And that's never gonna lead you to a good place, because then in some cases that only compiles itself, and then you're really in a weird spot that you never wanted to be in. So
The thing I got out of this whole conversation, the sentence I have in my head, is don't compromise yourself to bring comfort to someone else.
amen to that.